Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Go ahead to come to a comfortable seat. Let the eyes close. Starting to tune in to the feeling of the breath. Releasing the jaw. Softening the eyes. Bringing the hands together at the center of the chest. And breathing in slowly. Release the hands. Taking out your chant sheet, so 3 rounds together. Finishing with Om, joining in whenever you feel comfortable. Breathing in. Ahimsa, Satya, Steya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yama. Jati, Desha, Kala, Samayana, Vachina, Sarvabhauma, Mahavratam, Saucha, Santosha, Tapa, Svadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhanani, Niyama. Vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam ahimsa satya steya brahmacharya aparigraha yama jati desha kala samayana vachina Sarvabhauma Mahavratam Saucha Santosha Tapa Svadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhanani Niyama Vitarka Badhane Pratipaksha Bhavanam Ahimsa, Satya, Steya, Brahmacharya, Aparigraha, Yama, Jati, Desha, Kala, Samayana, Vachina, Sarvabhauma, Mahavratam, Saucha, Santosha, Tapa, Svadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhanani, Niyama, Vitarka Badhane, Pratipaksha, Bhavanam. Go ahead and opening the eyes And then we're gonna start in a dolphin at the wall. So if you don't have a wall space, feel free to use the mat instead and just be in regular dolphin pose. Otherwise, you're gonna come to the wall, place the elbows against the wall and a loose fist, walking back through the feet, setting the hips back. The elbows might slide down a little bit, and that's totally fine. Letting the chest drop down and the head drop, but keep the navel away from the floor as you breathe here. So stretching and opening into the shoulders. So we're continuing our work with Satya, honesty. And it's important as we move through the list of the yamas that we are chanting that ahimsa always comes first in the list of the practices, and that every other practice is imbued with that. So Satya is not brutal honesty or lack of privacy or mystery. It is not telling someone they look fat in those jeans or giving them a piece of your mind. It is not criticism or judgment or passing one's own opinion as truth. Satya is honesty in body, speech, and mind, but Satya is also ahimsa in speech, non-harming in speech. Good. Go ahead and look at the wall and slowly back away from the wall. And then you're going to return to your mat, just letting the arms sort of swing and release a little bit as you come to Tadasana at the front of your mat. And then once you're in Tadasana, you're going to swing the arms so that the right arm is on top for Garudasana eagle arms. With the right arm on top, you're going to pull the elbows to the left. Turn the gaze to the right and try and pull your right shoulder to the right as much as you can, even as the elbows are to the left. There's a little bit of a tug of war that allows that right shoulder and upper arm to stretch here. In Buddhism, they kind of delve deeply into this realm of speech, and there are 4 domains in practicing with speech. So the first one, no false speech or honesty, is what we worked on last week. Today we'll look at 2 more a little bit more closely as this idea of ahimsa in speech, and that's no slanderous speech and no harsh speech. Okay. Go ahead and open the arms, shake them out a little bit, and then recross with the left arm on top. With the left arm on top, you're bringing the elbows to the right this time, turning the gaze to the left and really pulling that left shoulder back into its socket. So no harsh speech, which we will phrase as kind speech for the remainder of our practice, is something that we seek to cultivate. And there are 2 sides of that, 2 ways of thinking about it. In the negative, which is don't lash out at others, no unthoughtful responses or automatic responses, don't attack with words. That means no abusive speech, no insulting, and no sarcasm. The positive side would be to cultivate a gentle or soothing word, loving words that speak to and from the heart, being courteous and friendly. Again, this idea of ahimsa in speech. Go ahead and let the arms open, shake them out, and then as you shake them out, slowly roll down into hanging Uttanasana, standing forward fold at the front of the mat, letting the arms either drip or hold opposite elbows, whichever you feel like you'd like to do this morning. So as we practice today, can we notice our inner dialogue and the way that we either have harsh speech or kind speech? To yourself, to your body, to me and what I ask you to do, to potentially your housemates and people sharing the space, to the other people sharing the class, just really being aware of the quality of the inner dialogue. Dogen describes kind speech as if one is speaking to a child with love and care and patience. What would it be like to really try that as we practice today? Good. Go ahead and slowly roll the spine up to stand. Tadasana at the front of the mat. If you like to take this opportunity to put your playlist on, feel free to put your playlist on. Once you're in Tadasana, really finding your gaze and setting the quality of your breath that you'll work on staying connected to for the whole practice. And then on an inhale, lift the arms all the way up. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, lengthen, set the gaze forward. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, committing to our kind speech. And as you practice, noticing perhaps which domain it's hardest in. Generally, it's towards ourselves. But you never know. At the end of the exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward, and hop or step lightly between the hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Press into the feet. Inhale, lift the arms all the way. Exhale, Tadasana, arms at the sides. Inhale, arms lift tall. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, lengthen, set the gaze. Exhale, chaturanga dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And so with kind speech, actively cultivating that kind speech. So it's a little bit different than the sort of colloquial wisdom of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. While there might be appropriate sometimes, in kind speech, we're actually actively trying to cultivate and train in being honest and non-harming at the same time. Training in kindness and honesty, Satya and Ahimsa, and it's actually hard. So don't just not say anything. Actively cultivate honest, kind speech as you practice today, replacing any harsh speech with that. At the end of the exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward, and hop or step lightly between the hands. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, fold. Press into the feet. Inhale, lift the arms wide and all the way up. Exhale, Tadasana, arms at the sides. Bend the knees, inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, lengthen, set the gaze forward. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhaling, Adho Mukha, right foot forward, left heel flat. Inhale, Warrior One. Exhale, hands down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhaling, Adho Mukha, left foot forward, right heel flat. Inhale, Warrior One. Exhale, hands down, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Gazing at the hands, lower the elbows down to the mat. Walk the elbows as far in, bringing them to touch together, and then have the hands in a prayer position. Lift the heels high and tiptoe the feet further forward. Lift the hips up high. Breathing. And then walk the elbows wider so that they're wider than your shoulder distance. So nice wide elbows. Walk the feet in a little bit further forward. Lift the hips even higher. Heels way off the floor. Creating as much space in the shoulders, strengthening through the inner line of the shoulders here. And then walk the feet back slightly, lower the knees down to the ground. Lift the head off of the floor and walk the hands far forward in front of you. Then tuck the chin into the chest and then bring the very crown of the head down to the ground, not the hairline, all the way to the very top of the head. Walk the hands any amount further forward that they can go. Firmly externally rotate the shoulders while keeping the pointer finger mound grounded. Stay there or start to lift the knees off the floor towards your head on the floor, downward facing dog. Two more breaths. Nice. And then return to regular downward facing dog from whichever version of the pose that you're in. Inhale together here. And then at the end of the exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward, and hop or step lightly between the hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, hands to prayer, twist to face the right side of the room. Option to open the arms if that's something you enjoy doing. Make sure you're leaning fully back into the shoulder blades here. Hands return to prayer if the arms are open. Inhale, center Utkatasana, arms up. Exhale, hands to prayer, twist to face the left side of the room. Same options here with the arm that you just did on the other side. Again, that feeling of leaning back, especially into the left shoulder blade. Nice. Hands return to prayer if they're open. Inhale, center Utkatasana, arms up. Exhale, standing Tadasana, arms at the sides. Inhale, hook the thumbs, lift the arms up and arch back. Exhale, bend the knees, sweep the hands behind the back, interlace, extend the fists to fold. Keep the hands in the interlace. Inhale, bend the knees, drop the buttocks low and gaze forward. And then keep the chest and hips where they are. Sneak the left leg back into a modified version of low lunge pose. Breathe here, feeling the strength of the legs. And then exhale, lower just the left hand down as you twist the right arm up into a low lunge twist. Keep everything, just lower the left knee down to the ground. Reach back with that right hand to catch a hold of the left foot and draw the heel in as close as it goes, opening through the front of that left thigh. Option to lower the left elbow down to the ground to increase the opening here. Again, staying tuned into your breath, that rhythm that you started at the very beginning. Threading the intention. Then softly release the back foot down to the floor. Two hands around the right foot. Shift the hips halfway back until the hips are over the knee but no further back. Slide the right leg forward until the leg is extended. Ardha Hanumanasana, half Hanumanasana pose. Hands on blocks or the floor. Long, smooth, controlled inhale. Long, smooth, controlled exhale. And then inhale, gaze forward. Start to bend into the right knee, shifting the hips forward. Maybe take a block with you. Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. Slide the right hand forward and lift the left side of the body off of the mat. From here, coming into that back bend variation, bending the left knee and catching hold of the left foot like you did just a moment ago on the floor. And then from here, gazing down at the floor for balance, tuck the pelvis slightly, and then slowly reach the right arm all the way up and forward to come into Natarajasana, dancer's pose. You can hold onto the outside edge of that left foot, or if you want to hold onto the inner edge and switch the hand position once you get up, feel free to do so. Keep the leg just where it is. Reach both arms straight forward. So keep that hamstring contracted. Both arms straight forward, heels still pulling into the buttocks. And then softly step all the way back and down, landing into Anjaneyasana, left knee carefully lowering as you keep the back bend going as you land. Feel that right heel isometrically pulling back and the left knee isometrically pulling forward to engage the legs. And feed that length all the way up. One more breath. And then exhale the hands down, one-legged downward dog, right leg lifting all the way up and back in the air behind you. Inhale, bend the knee, open the hip up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring the knee to the left elbow and step off the mat on the outer edge of the foot. As you're there, inhale, lift the left arm up. Or switch hands so the right arm is up towards the ceiling. Exhale, two hands down to the ground, knee to nose, nose to knee. Inhale, plank pose, right toes straight back, chest pulls forward. Exhale, lower knees, chest and chin. Inhale, slide through into cobra pose. Stay in cobra pose and float the hands off of the ground. And spread the toenails down to the ground, inner thighs lifting. And then you're going to reach the arms straight forward in front of you. Imagine you're grabbing a pull-up bar, grab a hold of it, and then pull up on it, lifting the chest higher. Keep the chest exactly there. Return the arms forward. And then once again, pull up, maybe pulling up even higher. And then stay there, extend the arms straight back at the sides, and then lift the legs off of the ground for Shalabhasana. Legs are straight back in the air behind you. Right leg lifts up a little bit higher. And then the left leg lifts up a little higher to meet it. Really extend those toes into the wall behind you. Breathe. Then floating cobra hands, flex the feet and push straight up into plank pose and back to downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward and step the right foot between the hands to lunge. Slide the fingers forward, float the left leg up and off the ground as if warrior three. Exhale, flex the foot, send it down by the right foot and fold over two legs. Bend the knees, inhale, hook the thumbs, stand up, straighten the legs and arch back. Exhale, bend the knees, sweep the hands behind you, interlace with the opposite set of fingers on top to fold. Keep the hands as they are. Inhale, bend the knees, drop the buttocks, gaze forward, and sneak the right leg back into that low lunge clasp variation. So the chest is low, the hips are slightly high, the right thigh bone high. And then exhale, lower just the right hand down and twist the left arm up into a low lunge twist. Keep everything, lower just the right knee down to the ground. Then reach back to catch a hold of the right foot with the left hand. Again, the option to lower down into the right elbow if you did that on the other side. Long, smooth inhale, long, smooth exhale, through the whole line of the body, not just cutting the breath off at the nose. Releasing the right foot softly down to the mat. 2 hands frame the front foot. Shift the hips halfway back until the hips are over the right knee but no further. Slide the left heel forward till the leg is extended. Ardha Hanumanasana, halfway into the split pose. And actively cultivating kind speech. Not only dropping any harsh speech you notice arises, but actively replacing it with kind speech, kind, honest speech. As you inhale, gaze forward and start to bend into the left knee. Maybe take the left block forward with you as you come into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose, balancing on just the left leg. Okay. So again, here we're coming into the back bend variation where you'll bend the right knee and reach back with the right hand to catch a hold of the right foot. And then working on that transition, so you'll gaze at the floor, tuck the pelvis a little bit, and then slowly reach the left arm forward and all the way up into Natarajasana, dancer's pose. Again, you can keep holding the outer edge of the foot or rotate the arm around to hold the inner foot as you get your balance. And then keep the foot right where it is, reach both arms straight forward. Contract the hamstring a little bit so that you're really working in the right foot's not just hanging out, but it is trying to stay in that back bend position. And then keep the leg engaged so you can have a nice soft landing back into Anjaneyasana. Once you get into your Anjaneyasana, really reach up through the arms. And then again, that feeling of the legs coming together. So that feeling of that right knee and hip driving forward, the left heel pulling back, the left hamstring contracted, the legs activities fed all the way up through the arms. And then exhale, one-legged downward dog, hands down, left leg all the way up and back. As you inhale, bend the knee, open the hip up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, bring the knee to the right elbow to twist, and then step off the mat on the outer edge of the foot. As you inhale, right arm up. Stay there or switch hands if you like, working with the deeper twist. Exhale, 2 hands down to the ground, knee to nose, nose to knee. Inhale, plank pose, 2 feet back, chest pulls forward. Exhale, lower knees, chest and chin. Inhale, slide through into cobra pose. Once again, float the hands off of the floor into floating cobra pose. This time we're going to bend the knees and lift the thighs off of the floor. Reach back to try and touch, but not yet hold your ankles. So really actually try to touch them. Like that might not happen, but really use the hamstrings. Pull the heels to the feet. Reach the arms back like you're doing that pull-up Shalabhasana. Then go ahead and hold on to the outer ankles. If you want to go there, you can always stay in a strengthening version as well. Breathing. And then inhale, Shalabhasana, arms and legs straight back in the air. Externally rotate the shoulders, opening the palms out to the sides. Then rebend the knees and catch a hold of the inner ankles. Unless that doesn't work on your shoulders, then stay with holding the outer ankles. Lifting up nice and tall. And then from here, really working the strength of our back and the legs. You're going to keep the legs where they are. You're going to keep the chest lifted, and then you're going to bring the hands into a loose interlaced position behind your head. So you're not using the arms at all here. If anything, the elbows are driven upwards. Really feeling that through the low back body, strengthening, breathing. Exhale, release everything down to the ground. Hands to the floor by the sides of the chest, pressing up and back, and downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward, step the left foot between the hands, keep sliding the fingers forward and float the right leg up. Exhale, flex the foot, send it down by the left foot and fold over two legs. Bend the knees, inhale, hook the thumbs, stand up, straighten the legs and arch back. Exhale, bend the knees, sweep the hands behind the back, interlace, extend the fists to fold. Bend the knees, inhale, Utkatasana, arms come straight up alongside the ears. Exhale, hands to prayer, twist to face the right side of the room once again. From this twisted position, we can keep the gaze up for a challenge or gaze down for extra balance. And then lifting the left foot off of the ground, extend it in the air, any amount behind you to balance here first. Doesn't have to be way far back there, choose what works for you. Then step the foot way to the back of the mat for your revolved extended side angle pose. So if you want to adjust anything here, binding, opening the arms, grounding the back heel, all of those variations work. Deep breath through the side ribs here. And then with control, we're going to windmill all the way up and around until you're facing the back of the mat with the left foot forward. Once you're there, you're going to bend the left knee a little bit, bring the right knee up into the chest, left hand to the hip. Before you go for the big toe or any variations, just make sure the left thigh bone is sliding back. Then go ahead and hold onto the big toe if you like to work on the variation. Otherwise, keep your hand on your knee. But again, just attentive to that standing leg. Open the legs slowly out to the side. Returning to center. Bring the hands together in prayer at the center of the chest. Bend the right knee into the chest. And then slowly tilt through center into Warrior 3. Once you land in Warrior 3, experiment with switching into reverse prayer behind your back or holding opposite elbows. So just that small arm movement in Warrior 3 can really make us tune into the balance a little bit more. Chest lifted, gaze forward, not down. Exhale, landing back into just Warrior 1 legs. The arms are still behind the back. Inhale, extend the left leg, push the floor away. Twist the navel over the left knee, and then exhale, fold into Parshvottanasana, folding over that left leg. Of course, if bringing the hands to the floor or blocks is more appropriate, always feel free to do so. Keeping the arms, feeling the bottoms of both feet, slowly lift all the way up to stand. Once the chest is all the way lifted, we'll slip our hands to the hips and then rotate all the way around until you're facing the front of the mat once again. Once you're facing the front of the mat, setting up for your revolved triangle pose. So if you want to grab a block. Left arm reaches all the way up. Lean halfway forward. As you lean halfway forward, ground through both heels, stick both sit bones back, both tops of the thigh bones back, then twist and reach the right arm up as you're ready. Revolved triangle. just like in the Utkatasana twist, think about leaning back into the shoulder blades. Nice. Gazing at the floor. Bend the right knee and slide the left hand to the left if it isn't already there. Then you're going to roll to the left side into Vashisthasana side plank pose. If you want to hold on to your right big toe as you go, hold on to the right big toe as you go. Otherwise, just stacking over to the left side. Okay, then everyone will lift that right leg off of the left leg, bend the knee, step the ball of the foot behind you, flipping into the half back bend, pulling with that foot. Navel in, spiral to one-legged downward facing dog with the right leg lifted high. Inhale. Good. Keep that right leg lifting high. Walk the hands halfway down the yoga mat towards your foot, setting up for your handstand practice in the middle of the room. So again, either small hops, just being used to working with your breath and that feeling of air time in the middle of the mat, or you're working all the way up into the pose. It's totally up to you, finding your place to work. Good. And then the left leg will stay down, the right leg will stay up. Return to regular one-legged downward facing dog, walking the hands all the way to the front of the mat. Exhale, step the right foot forward between the hands into lunge pose, and then you're going to slide the left knee to the outside of the right ankle to come down into sit into Ardha Matsyendrasana, seated spinal twist. Once you're seated, of course, you can always straighten the left leg forward in front of you or keep the foot wrapped around. As you're ready, the right arm back, left arm lifting tall. And exhale, twisting to the right. Inhale, face forward. Exhale, counter twist to the left. Inhale, face forward. And then setting up for ankle to knee, either the upright variation or the folding forward variation. Whichever version of the pose, you want to keep the feet really flexed as you either move the chest closer to the shin or as you fold over the legs. If you're folding over the legs and you want to make it even a little bit more of a stretch, you could always walk the hands to the left and fold, bringing the forearms to the left side of your ankle to knee. But that's quite a deep stretch, so choose what works for you. Lengthen the breath and soften the jaw. So the other aspect that we were working on today was the idea of slander or gossip. And so this is sort of a subcategory of harsh speech. But again, it has a positive and a negative. And the negative is don't gossip and don't speak of others' faults, even in your own mind. And of course, these are all the things that you wouldn't normally say if the person were in front of you. Inhale, gazing forward. And exhale, coming all the way up from wherever you are. Then we're going to transition and meet in Navasana, boat pose, reaching both feet forward in front of you with bent or extended legs, arms forward, shoulder blades on the back of the body, pressing forward, legs lifting. Exhale, Ardha Navasana, almost touching the mat but not. Back up to Navasana, crossing the legs and moving through a vinyasa cycle back to downward dog. So follow your breath as you move is the only requirement. You can choose what that movement process is to get back to downward dog. From downward dog, we'll all inhale, move forward to plank pose. And then exhale, lower knees, chest and chin. Inhale, slide through into cobra pose. Good. And then we're going to float the hands off of the floor. The hands are going to be right kind of by the shoulders, the armpits. And then you're going to keep the head and the chest in one line. So you're not moving at your neck here, you're moving at the back. You're going to dip down so the nose touches the floor, but not the hands. And then you're going to lift everything back up. And then you're going to dip down and back up. Down, back up, and down, back up. Then bring the elbows forward, hands forward to kind of like goalpost arms or cactus arms, and then down and up, down and up, down and up, down and up, and then arms straight forward in front of you, kind of like a Y shape, palms face each other, and down, let the outer hands touch and come up. Everything lifts high, down and up, down and up. Two more, down and up, down and up, floating cobra hands, and then left elbow out to the side for pec stretch. Right hand comes down to the ground, and you're kicking the right leg up and over to the floor behind you. The head can rest on the floor or stay lifted, whatever feels right for you. So the consequences when we do engage in sort of the seductive allure of slander, consequences is it's a waste of prana, it's a waste of our energy, it's a waste of our precious gift of speech, because really it does nothing except for cultivate more harsh feelings in your own heart and those around you. It doesn't change or fix whatever it is you think someone else needs to change or fix. It's only self-defeating. Return onto the belly, and then switch to the other side. Returning on to the belly, bring two hands to the floor by the sides of the chest, pushing up onto the hands and knees, and then lowering the elbows down to either work on dolphin or forearm stand, Pinchamayurasana practice. So whichever you feel more comfortable doing in the middle of the room on your own. Of course, it should not be the first time you do forearm stand in the middle of the room, but if it's a regular practice, feel free. Otherwise, dolphin instead. Right, and then we'll all rest briefly in child's pose, 2 feet to the floor, sitting back towards the heels. But just briefly. And then inhale, shift forward onto the hands and knees, and then pressing back and downward facing dog. Inhale here. And then at the end of the exhale, bend the knees, gaze forward, and hop or step lightly between the hands. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, inhale, Utkatasana, arms up. Exhale, hands to prayer, twist to face the left side of the room. From here, setting your gaze either up for challenge, down for balance. Pick the right foot off the floor, and then extend it any amount back in the air behind you. Softly placing the foot down to the mat. And then setting up for your version of revolved extended side angle pose. Again, try to match whatever you did on the other side. Nice. And then with control, windmill all the way up and around until you're facing the back of the room, so the right foot will be forward. Bend the right knee slightly and bring the left knee up into the chest. Left hand to the knee, right hand to the hip, and just pause there before going any amount further, really getting that right standing leg. Then without compromising that right standing leg, extend the left leg forward if you're going there, otherwise keep holding that knee. And then open the leg out to the left side. Chest is tall, collarbones really lifted. Return the leg to center. Hands to prayer. Left knee bends and slowly tilt into warrior 3 pose. Once you land in warrior 3, again, that small movement of just bringing the hands back behind you into reverse prayer or holding opposite elbows or wrists. Again, there's a lift to the gaze, a lift to the collarbones. Keeping the arms landing back into warrior 1 legs. Keeping the arms, inhale, extend the right leg, push the floor away. Turn the navel towards that right knee and then folding forward into your Parshvottanasana. Again, hands can come down to the floor at any point. Pressing into the feet, inhale, lift the chest all the way up. Switch the hands to lightly holding your hips, and then rotate all the way around to face the front of the room. Once you're facing the front of the room, we're setting up for revolved triangle on the other side, so grabbing a block if you like. The right arm will lift up. And again, you're leaning halfway forward, pausing, feeling the feet press down, the tops of the thigh bones, both of them press back to anchor you, and then twist from that stability of the legs, opening the arms as you're ready. Think about leaning back into those shoulder blades. On an inhale, think about crossing from that outer right hip across to the left shoulder and arm, reaching up on the inhale. And from the exhale, crisscrossing from the left hip, wrapping that right shoulder and right side ribs around. And just thinking about this breathing pattern crossing across the back body as you twist here. And then gazing down at the floor, bend the left knee and place the right hand to the right side of the mat. From there, you're going to roll to the right side into Vashisthasana, side plank pose, maybe picking the left big toe up with you if that's a pose you enjoy. Everyone lift the left leg off the right leg, bend the knees, step the ball of the foot behind you, flipping into the half bend, lift the hips, reach with the fingers. Think about looking where your hand is aiming for on the floor. And then navel in, spiral to one-legged downward facing dog, left leg lifted high, inhale. Keep the leg lifted, walk the hands halfway down the yoga mat. And once again, working towards your handstand hops here. Small hops, large hops. Move with control and with the breath. Less momentum. Feel all parts of your body on board here. What's being left out? Good. Then keep the right foot grounded. The left leg is still lifted. Walk the hands forward again into one-legged downward dog. Inhale here. Exhale, step the left foot forward into lunge pose. And then slide the right knee outside the left ankle to come down into Ardha Matsyendrasana, seated spinal twist. Good. Once you're there, we're going to be twisting it to the left. Left arm back, right arm up, finding your twist to the left. And maybe finding that same crisscrossing position with the breath in this twist. So from the groundedness of the right sit bone, you inhale all the way up through the left shoulder. And you exhale from the groundedness of the left sit bone, wrapping the right shoulder and right ribs around. And then on an inhale, face forward. And exhale, counter twist to the right. Inhale, face forward. And then you're setting up for your version of ankle to knee. Again, either the feet and ankles actually stacked. So sometimes it's a little bit off center. You want them actually stacked, the ankles and the knees. Or you're doing the upright version. If you're folding, you can fold through center or fold over to the right side. Your choice. So the positive aspects of this dropping of slander is it is said that it unites people who are divided. It spreads peace, harmony, and friendship. And Bhikkhu Bodhi, in his explanation, describes it as such. It wins the trust and affection of others who feel they can confide in one without fear that their disclosures will be used against them. And certainly not the only benefit, but I sometimes think that this is one of the most beautiful benefits that therapy offers us. Like there's this space where we can say anything, we can disclose anything, and we're not concerned that they're going to somehow have a conversation with another friend about us. It's not going to be discussed. It's a place where we can just freely speak. And thinking about that and how it is so often absent in our regular relationships, like what would that be like to commit to being a person who offers that to others? To be aware of maybe there are people in our life who are already like that, and to treasure those relationships maybe a bit more than we already do. Gazing forward, coming all the way up to sit. Once you're all the way up to sit, both legs extending forward, Navasana, boat pose. Exhaling, Ardha Navasana. Back up to Navasana. Again, Ardha Navasana. And then releasing down to the floor for a little reclined back bending. We're just going to be doing bridge and a variation of bridge, but we're going to be really thinking about our body a particular way. So we're going to bend the knees and place the feet flat on the floor, close to the sit bones. Lift the hips up slightly, interlace the hands underneath the buttocks, roll the shoulders in, and lifting up into bridge pose. So this is just going to be a regular Setu Bandha, but we're going to think about the legs. So first, I want you to pull with the feet on the floor actively, as if you're trying to send your knees forward. You feel your hamstrings turn on, and it opens up the front of the hip creases. And then as you're actively pulling the knees forward, I just want you to feel the freedom of breath in the belly and the low ribs, and just how that breath feels. And the ability to move the chest towards the chin, that there's a lot of movement available to you in the chest. The possibility of greater opening. Now, instead of pulling with the feet, I want you to switch that, and I want you to push your feet so that you're trying to push your hips towards the chest, push the hips up towards the ceiling, the opposite action, which is actually kind of our maybe more innate way of doing this pose. And notice right away how it changes the breath. It hardens the area, especially in the low ribs and the diaphragm, and the breath is not as free. The chest doesn't have as much possibility of movement, so even though it feels initially like this is a better back bend, it's actually a very constricting version. So now you're going to keep the hands as they are and bring the heels of the hands closer together if you can, and then you're going to lower the buttocks to sit on your wrists. Make sure you're not sitting on your fist, because that will be unpleasant for your fingers. Be sitting on your wrists. And this will just really open up through the upper chest, both of a breath and a stretch. Okay, and then we're going to lift up one more time. This time we're going to have a variation option. Otherwise, you'll just do regular bridge pose. So as you're ready, you're going to lift the hips up a little bit, switch which hands are on top of the interlace, roll the shoulders back under because they might have separated a bit there, and then re-lift into the pose, still working with the legs in the same way. If you would like to work on a variation here into what we like to call as tiptoe fish, you will open up the hands and place the hands by your head like you're going to do a wheel pose. From here, you're going to lift your heels off the floor, press up onto the crown of the head, and then let the buttocks sink towards the heels. From there, you can reach the arms all the way overhead in a prayer formation, stretching long through the whole front line of the body. If you wanted to take that further, you could bring the hands by the ears, lift the head up, and let the knees slide all the way to the mat in front of you. The head will slide closer to the heels, and you'll return the hands into that long stretch overhead. So a couple different options. Be where it's right for you to be today. If you've been in tiptoe fish, we're going to exit together by bringing the hands by the ears. You're going to pull back until you're on your back again, so don't exit forward, exit back the way you came, and then everyone lowering down. Extend the legs up towards the ceiling, shake the legs out. And then loosely bring the knees into the chest, roll to the left side, coming up to sit, and take your mat over to your wall space. You can always do a grounded back bending work instead of using the wall if you don't have a wall instead. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do at the wall is actually get those legs working a bit more. So we already experimented with the use of the legs in bridge pose. We're just going to get them working a bit more by laying at the wall about a shin's distance away with the buttocks. The feet are going to come to the wall with about a 90-degree bend in the knees, and then you're going to pull the buttocks off of the mat as much as you can until you feel the little glutes and the hamstrings work. Then you almost lower down to touch, and then we'll repeat that. So once you're all set on your mat, feet are at the wall. Again, that 90-degree bend in the knees. You'll be about a shin's distance away from the wall so that you can create that. And then arms at the sides or overhead. And using just the strength of the hamstrings, pull the buttocks as high off the floor as you can until you feel the low glutes and the hamstrings on. And then that's your goal. Do that 10 more times. Almost let the buttocks touch the floor, but don't let it touch the floor entirely. And then lift up. Again, 10 of those further. By the end of the 10th one, if you're really doing it, you should feel those fiery quads really on and working. Okay, so that should be about the 10 mark. You can let the buttocks stay grounded once you've gotten to your 10. And once again, we're just going to bring the knees lightly into the chest, roll to the left side, and come on up to sit, and I'll show you what we'll be working on next. So we're working towards a pose called viparita, a backbend version, and we're going to work at the wall because it gives us a little bit more space and freedom. Then we'll do it on the mat, and then we'll come back to the wall. So I'm going to show you the first two things we're going to do here, and then I'll talk you through it again, but just so you can see the two first. So you're going to set up at the wall so that you're about a forearms distance away with the hands in the dolphin formation, loosely interlaced, elbows right underneath the shoulders. And then you're going to walk forward and then with care, kick up to the wall. From here, you're going to have the knees bent, and notice just my toes are on the wall, not my heels. That will allow me to pull more in the hamstrings like we've been working on. And then you move the chin towards the fist, and you're just working on this back bend. If you would like, you can work towards straightening the legs, but make sure you keep a micro bend so you're still pulling, no pushing like we worked in Satya Bandha. Keep the legs active, space for the breath to move, and the chest to slide forward. Then we'll come down, you'll rest, and then we're going to try that. You can either keep doing that if that feels more spacious to you, or we're going to try that lying down, coming onto the top of the head, walking the hands back. Watch out for your hair. You don't want your elbows or hands to be under your hair here. And then lifting up, and notice I'm once again lifting my heels off the floor. Okay, so that's where we're going. If you're like, that seems unpleasant, regular wheel or regular back bending is always open to you, or working on forearm stand at the wall. Since we now have a wall space, feel free to do forearm stand instead if you want to skip all that. So going over it together, you're going to face the wall. Again, you're a forearms distance away from the wall. Interlace the hands, lifting up like you're doing dolphin. And then you're going to kick up to the wall. Once you're at the wall, you're bending both knees and you're on your tiptoes. Your head is off the floor. You're pulling actively with the legs. You're feeling the freedom of the breath, and you're trying to open the chest to bring the chin towards your fist. So that this is a really strong work in the back, which is why we do lots of the back strengthening work. This is not just about flexibility, this is strength in the back to lift the chest here. If you want to straighten the legs, you straighten the legs, but you straighten the legs only with the ability to keep the knees bent and keep that pulling action happening. No jamming in the breath. And then slowly coming down, pausing. And then you decide, either you can work on that again. It's a little bit more spacious to do it at the wall in this way, even though it is a little bit more work for your arms. Or you can flip over onto your back as I demonstrated and work on coming to it from regular wheel pose. The same work applies, whichever version you're going to do in this moment. And again, I do really recommend only being on your toes, not on your heels for these back bends. It just gives you that extra bit more space to work. Okay, a couple more breaths. And then a controlled exit out of whichever version of the back bend that you're in. Pause and rest for a moment. And then we have one more set of options to play with here. So when you're ready, coming up to sit. So either rolling to one side or just coming up to sit, depending on where you are. So from here, we're actually going to use the wall to have the ability to play with moving from the floor version and the wall version. So the first way that we'll do that is you'll start with your toes just a little bit tucked at the wall. My heel's not at the wall at all. It's just a little bit, my toes are just slightly tucked up the baseboard. Bringing the hips close to the heels and then hands by the ears. So this is going to be coming into it from the floor. Walking the hands in, interlacing, lifting the head, and then you're going to walk the feet up to that version of the pose that we were just in. So transitioning between the two, lowering the head, carefully stepping down, and lifting up. Measuring when you come down, a handy block, I'm just going to use this line on the floor here to guess, but it would be helpful if you had a block here to place it by your hand so you know where to go, because then you get to try doing it the other way. So you'll start off much further away from the wall, but we've measured, so it should be fine. Lifting the head, and then kicking over, and walking down into the pose. So, different things to try and play with, or stay with the very first version that you've been working on. So a little bit more back bending work. All right, so we're all going to release, coming down. We'll meet. Then you can stay where you are, or you can return your mat where it was before. Either is fine. And we're just going to meet in a prone shavasana. So that's where you're lying on your belly, your toes are turned in, your heels are out, and your hands are stacked underneath your forehead. So it's just a simple rest position. And then from here, sliding the hands back by the sides of the chest. And then from a gentle cobra, we're going to walk the elbows right underneath the shoulders. And resetting our back with our core work. So you're going to be on the tops of the feet, and then pressing on the tops of the feet, round the navel as far away from the floor with everything else as you can go. And then hover in a straight line halfway towards the floor, but not on the floor. And then lift, halfway down. One more lift, halfway down. Lower all the way down and back into Sphinx. Walk the hands up and pressing back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg up. And exhale, bring the shin forward for pigeon pose. So some ideas for taking this into our lives. You can notice for a week, in what ways do you direct harsh speech to yourself? Maybe even keeping a list. And then reflect and ask, whose voice is this harsh speech? Is it the culture or society? Is it 16-year-old you? Is it a parent's voice, a friend's voice, a partner's voice? And then replace whatever it is with kind speech. As you inhale, walking the hands back up to lift the chest. From here, we're going to take a twist to the right, just walking the hands over to the right side of the right thigh. Keep that left pinky toe nail down. And you can either stay here or lower the left elbow down and lightly rest your head in it for a slightly deeper twist. Rest the head in the hand, not the elbow. Or you can bring the hands into prayer position like an Utkatasana twist. And then release, 2 hands down and press back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the left leg up. And exhale, bring the shin through for pigeon pose. Or another idea, for a week, notice when you have harsh speech with others. And ask yourself, what are you trying to communicate? Are you being successful? What would it cost? What would it be like to use kind speech instead? And all of this work, again, against that situational ethics background that we've talked about, that there's no right way and no way to decide in advance, responding in the moment, and then noticing the effects of the actions afterwards and letting that inform you. Walking up onto the hands. And then once again, we'll take that twist, either just walking the hands over to the side, or again, make sure that right pinky toe nail stays down. You can lower the right elbow down and rest the head in the hand. Or you can bring the hands into prayer and work a Utkatasana twist. And then releasing 2 hands to the floor. Walk the hands around so they're underneath the shoulders. And step to plank pose. Pause in plank pose. Breathe. And then softly lower the knees down to the ground. Narrow the knees till they touch. Widen the feet out to the side, pointing the toes, grabbing your block or blanket or whatever you need, placing it between your ankles so that you can bring the sit bones down to rest evenly on a surface into Virasana, Hero's Pose. Reach the hands towards the knees and gently sort of feel like you're smoothing and drawing the muscles and the fascia up the thighs and then pressing down on the heads of the thigh bones. But then keep pulling up towards the pelvis and then pressing gently in on just on the inside of either hip point. Just drawing the legs up into the pelvis here a bit, and then letting the palms either rest face down the thighs, face up, or you can place the palms one on top of each other with the thumbs lightly touching, and then close the eyes. And then I want you to count how long your inhale is, and count how long your exhale is. If one is longer than the other, lengthen the shorter one until they're both equally long. Whenever that becomes comfortable, increase the count for both parts of the breath, one more. And a last option is, of course, the working with the slander option. And it can often be hardest to work with this, not gossiping, not speaking of the faults of others, when we're around a lot of other people who are already doing it. And so maybe taking some time to contemplate in advance, what are the situations that, that lead to this? We don't work together as often as we used to, which are often primary places for that. But what are times when we do this, and noticing the effect it has on us? Being thoughtful about what it might mean to not do it. And just really committing to it for a week and just seeing what happens. Never taking my word or any text words for it. If you can, lengthen the breath by one more count. And deciding just one of those things to try, or any other that came up for you as we were talking about these deeper aspects of Satya today. After your next exhale, let go of controlling the breath in any way and take a relaxed, natural inhale and a relaxed, natural exhale. Leaning forward onto the hands in front of you. And then I like to just start off by lightly tapping the feet to release any tension from that pose, from Virasana. And then tucking the toes under, letting the heels wobble back and forth. And then maybe extending one leg at a time back. And then whenever you're ready, starting to sit up for your Shavasana. You have a wall, so if you want to use that, feel free for legs up the wall. Use any of your props. Dim the lights. Put on Shavasana music. Make sure you're warm and the head is supported. And when you're ready, Shavasana. without changing anything. Simply noticing the breath of a relaxed body. The feeling of the back resting against the ground, and that sense of support and that sense of contact in the back of the body. Letting the breath begin to slightly deepen now, feeling the inhale press into the floor. Slowly drawing the knees into the chest. Curl to the right side. Touching the forehead to the ground, connecting the third eye to the earth. And slowly coming all the way up to sit. And then just having this sense of being fully in your body, in tune with a sense of groundedness through the pelvis and legs, freedom of movement of the breath in the chest and through the nose, and a sense of spaciousness in the inner landscape. And allowing this to be an anchor for whatever Satya practice you take on for the week. To connect to this space, which is always available to you. As you work on the practice. Bringing the hands together at the center of the chest and breathing in slowly. Going down to the teacher within all things and beings. I'll say that in Sanskrit. You can chant along or respond at the end with Jai. Om Bolo Sakuru Bhagavana Ki Jai. Namaste.